So we have Robert asking, where does the modern rule for the clan crest being wrapped in a belt come from?
Ah.
Surely ancient blacksmiths couldn't design that to a precision.
What?
A belt?
Well, he's talking about the ornate belt around it.
Yeah.
Like he's imagining
Surely
an ancient blacksmith
couldn't-
sitting there tamping one of those out.
Got it.
In precision.
Well, but somebody scribing on metal, good.
Okay.
Eric's just ready to pounce.
How dare you, Robert? Sick him, Eric. Sick him.
Wait, was this a Robert we know?
No, this is Robert Grave.
Robert Grave. Okay.
Explain. Let's talk about the heraldic thing.
Yeah,
What a
because
clan
I'm
crest
not
is,
sure
what
I
the belt
understand the
means.
whole blacksmith
Meaning, how do you get that much
hammering it
detail
out thing.
out of it?
mean, you ever looked at Anglo-Saxon filigree, my dude? They did. Yes, there's amazing metalwork throughout history, and we often don't give the ancients enough credit for making that. The point is, it's irrelevant to the question, or the fact of the question.
Ha
Aha. Okay.
Robert.
So let's break this down. You're a family. You're a family man. You have a coat of arms. You've been granted arms by the crown because you're a super cool guy. More likely you killed somebody on behalf of the king. So
The
good on you.
fawns. The fawns with arms.
The fawns with the fawns in full plate armor and a lance.
I love the jacket.
And a leather jacket. That's called a hauberk or a jerkin. But anyway.
Not for the fawns.
So, a coat of arms was something that you were permitted to have if you were of sufficient rank in the nobility, or you're granted arms like you're made a knight, a knigget. And that was basically identifying you and eventually your family as well. And there are changes they would make for different codes to say son of this or related to this family in this way. That's where you have quartered coats of arms and stuff. The crests that we're talking about come from a related but similar tradition. Literally, they are based on helmet crests from the High Middle Ages and the Renaissance, where basically when you were at a tournament, you were in tournament armor, which covered the body more extensively than field armor a lot of the time, frankly, combat armor, and nobody could tell who you were. Also, you wanted to show off. You wanted to be super pizzazzy and cool. This is like your fancy duds because you're showing off for the crowd.
Jazz hands.
Armored jazz hands with spikes. And so you would develop something that was called a helmet crest. They were usually made out of wood and painted, and they were mounted onto your tournament helm. Okay. Often they would pick up an element from your coat of arms, your heraldic device. So you might, if you have a dragon on your coat of arms, you might have a dragon head as your crest. The crests became a way to quickly identify you, and in later years also your possessions or even your household. Okay, so that's step one. This is related to something called livery, which was basically the uniform pieces you would have your retainers or your household servants and stuff wearing. Sometimes it could be as simple as a reduced version of your coat of arms, which was called a badge, or it might be a version of the crest. Okay? When the 19th century came along and people got really into this stuff in Scotland, people started using the helmet crests of the old armiger families, the landed families who had a coat of arms and therefore probably had a crest as well. At some point in history, basically people started registering and designing them at the same time. And you would use that as shorthand of saying, I am this guy. And but then the whole idea of showing adherence, loyalty to a clan chief, to a family, not a blood relation exactly, tenuous blood relation, which is what most of us clan members are. You know, it's like I'm related to so-and-so who's related to so-and-so and so-and-so. But I'm loyal to the chief. That's the bottom line. I'm loyal to the chief. If you are a chief, you could wear just your device, just your crest, and you'd usually also wear eagle feathers to indicate your rank.
And or on a circlet.
And on a
straight circle.
If you are an armiger, you can do that. An armiger being someone who bears arms, a coat of arms. The idea came about, I'm pretty 90% certain it was in the 19th century, of using the belt around with the motto in it as a way to differentiate between I'm a member of the family or I am the chief versus I am expressing my loyalty to the clan. It is not a belt like you'd wear around your waist. It is actually a garter. You may have heard of the Order of the Garter, which is the highest order of chivalry in Britain, in England. The reason they have that name is because they wore these garters that had the motto of the order embroidered on it, and they always wear them on, I think it's the left leg. That's where the idea came from. So basically, it's like having it's kind of like being a knight of the garter. You know, you got this garter, and you got the motto of the clan there, and it's just showing your loyalty and your attachment. So it is modern in the sense that I don't believe the tradition of representing clan members in that way predates the Victorians. 90% certain on that, but my fellow nerds out there, if you want to chime in, let me know. But I'm pretty sure it's basically a Victorian thing, or at least a 19th century thing.
So how did they...
That's the long story.
Yes, but how did they get the level of detail in? It's not a cast level of detail from way back then. There's also people who, metalsmiths who would work, with fine tools to do these things. There's old, how did they stamp coins, back in Roman times? Still detail on them. There's still a good way to do the thing.
Right.
So it's not that it has to be cast where you lose a lot of the detail, or could have lost a lot
frankly,
of detail.
the idea comes from graphical art first and was made into jewelry later.
Yeah.
The graphical representation predates the idea of I'm going to slap this on my hat. So,
little hat slapping.
In the old days, you would take the pin and you just put it right into your skull, because you literally show your loyalty by bleeding for the clan.
So is the helm crest the ancient version of the "Hello, my name is" sticker tag that you wear on your shirts?
It's more like being in a football team, honestly.
Okay,
Or
so it's like the number on the jersey. Okay,
it's like a number on a jersey. I mean, yes, that's kind of part of it. And it's just like the whole point of heraldry was that there are rules to how it's designed because you could see it from a long distance away. And helmet crest became the same thing, is you wanted to be able to be identified very easily at a glance from a long distance away. Also, in the tournament context, you could gain points by totally ripping your opponent to shreds by like destroying their crest in the middle of the combat. He was like,
just mean.
Fucked up his
mean.
crest. Yeah, it is mean. It was a very mean sport, extremely mean sport. So
no,
they didn't mess around.
Don't like it. Nope.
Long story short, that is where the belt design, it's actually a garter, comes from in clan regalia.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Ba-dum-bum.
The more you know. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks for watching. Heraldry. It's a complicated topic. They write books about it. Bottom line is, if you are proud of your clan and your heritage, you should wear your clan crest. You can wear your clan tartan. All of it is fair game, and it's a great way to express yourself. If you want to see clan crest options, we do have them on our website, usakilts.com.